Imagine you were at a friend's house or maybe a family gathering and they have some chocolate chip cookies there. So you decide that you just want to take one and take a bite, and then you automatically get brought back to old memories of you at old friends or old families' houses, and it gives you some joy and comfort because that's what it gave you in the past. These cookies I'm going to show you today, I think will be able to give you that same joy and comfort and maybe bring back some of those memories that you used to have. I've been baking cookies for most of my life, whether it's been with my family, friends. I've tried multiple different recipes. Some come out a little bit too hard, some come out too soft. Some just don't have like the right texture. But the recipe that I'm going to show you all today, I think has all those things just to perfection. What you need to start out with are your ingredients. The ingredients are 2.5 cups of flour, 3 1/4 cup of brown sugar, and a 1/4 cup of regular sugar, vanilla extract, baking soda. You'll use a teaspoon of that during your thing. 2 eggs, a thing of vanilla pudding, a cup of chocolate chips, and a cup of butter, which is 2 sticks. This can run you from anywhere from 10 to 20, maybe even more, depending on how much you buy and where you buy it at. And you can also use other ingredients, like I've used M&Ms, nuts. You can really put anything in these cookies, but I found chocolate chips are probably the best thing that you can possibly put in. And now we will start with the mixing. First, you would want to start with your dry ingredients, which I've already put in my flour and my baking soda into this, and I just mixed it around. That's all the dry you do. And then you would start with your wet. Your wet ingredients, first you want to start out with your butter. Put your 2 sticks into your large bowl just like this. And you want to do this first and then beat that around with your mixer for a little while in order to make it creamy, so that whenever you're mixing everything else together, your butter is better like distributed through your mixture, and it's also just easier to mix all in all. Now, and you always want to keep some kind of paper towel around so that it's not just your mixers isn't slipping out of your hands or anything like that. You want to start your mixer on the food so that it doesn't just like kick back and send stuff everywhere. And usually I would start probably like medium speed, nothing crazy. It doesn't have to be anything like wild. This is really easy to like cream up, but usually you wouldn't have it sitting out for nearly as long. So it could be a little bit harder to mix together. And then once that's done, you would want to add your sugars, which is your brown sugar and your normal sugar, into it. And then you would want to mix this around in your bowl for a little bit, because that's a lot of dry that you just added into there. So you want it to be a good consistency before you add anything like eggs or like vanilla pudding or anything like that. This you usually just do until you don't see like any big parts of butter showing, or you get a good like consistency through the entire bowl. You don't have to go crazy on this part. You just really have to make sure that it looks pretty nice for the next part that you're going to add. Next, I would add everything else, your vanilla pudding mixture, which is just in a bag like this. Just rip it open and throw it in there. Then your vanilla extract, which is just 1 teaspoon. just pour this over the bowl so that if anything like spills, then you don't have to worry about it getting onto your table or anything else that you don't want it on. And then you would also crack your eggs and put that into there. And if you put any shells in, that's fine. But if you don't feel comfortable cracking your eggs, put it into another bowl before so they're easier to pick out. And it just makes it a lot less of a hassle trying to sort through all the dough that you just made. So just crack these over on the table and then just really not too hard. Just make sure that you're cracking enough to where you can see that there is a little piece on that side, and then just open it up. That one was there we go. And then, like I said earlier, just make sure that you're trying to keep this all good. And then you would just mix all that up for a little bit. And if you have anything on the side like I do here, you would grab a spatula like this and just like scrape into those sides to where you're hitting it all right. And then your mixer can actually get to it. And then once you're done with all that, and then you add this as well, your dry, it should look something like that. A good consistency all the way around, nothing crazy. And then you would be ready to add like your chocolate chips or anything like that. So then this is about a cup of chocolate chips, so it'll be fine. Just pour those in. And then use that spatula I was talking about earlier in order to try to like mix all those into your batter in order to make it a little bit easier to use. But this is then yeah, you just really want to break up your dough more to where you can get it all the way around into your batter. And if it's really hard like this, you just want to almost just drive your spatula into it in order to bring your chocolate chips all the way around it. And you just really want to keep going until you don't see any chocolate chips on the bottom, or there just aren't a lot like sitting around. And now after that, you'll be ready to scoop your dough out. I would go about in this pan 12. Once you get a good scoop, you can run it across the side. But before that, you have to do your parchment paper. You want to run it like about like that. Bring it to the edge, and then you can go like this and just rip it off. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it should be able to cover your entire pan about like that. And then you're ready to scoop these out. I would go about 12 for this. Nothing crazy. And then after you're done with scooping all these out, it would be time to put it into the oven. I would go for, you should have it preheated to about 375, and then put them in there for about 8 to 10 minutes, however hot your oven cooks, or however cold it cooks. Either way, it doesn't really matter. And then after you scoop all those out, then you'd have your cookies baked and ready to go. And I hope from what I showed you today, you would be able to make these same cookies and hopefully make some new memories and recreate the old ones that you once had.